It's bizarre that we're talking about this Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick thing, and I know all of this can get blown out of proportion, but what sort of reaction and traction is it getting there in ACC country?
Well, it's getting a lot of traction, and it's getting a lot of conversation. But I got to tell you, I'm going to take a little different slant on this because I think this is exactly what UNC signed up for. Not necessarily the TMZ stuff, but it's May 6th, and we are talking about North Carolina football. And by hiring Bill Belichick, the 100% goal was to thrust North Carolina football into the national conversation. Here we are. So, yeah, it's let's put it this way. There's some concern among the money that pushed for this, that this thing is kind of spinning out of control. But the general feeling is that, yeah, this is entertaining. Yeah, this is crazy, go nuts. But it's also May. The first game doesn't start for another, 3.5 months? And so, this is the silly season. The expectation is that when this gets real, when fall practice starts, when they start getting ready for games, Belichick is going to click into Belichick mode, and it's going to be all about, next week we're going to Cincinnati.
I'm going to challenge you a little bit on, the fact that you say, hey, we're talking about North Carolina football, which is, the goal of the program. Are we talking about North Carolina football? It feels like we're only talking about Jordan Hudson. I don't even know who the quarterback is. It would be one thing if this was, the engine for us to, hear about the recruits or something, but it doesn't even feel like I know anything about the team. So, I understand in the world of, publicity, I get what you're saying, we are talking about it, but, I don't think I believe that all publicity is good publicity, because we're not hearing about the football team.
Yeah. And listen, it might be a distraction because I don't think he knows who the quarterback is at this point. I mean, he's still bringing in guys. I mean, since the end of
he's not answering that.
That's right, exactly. But there is a concern. I mean, there's a major concern because what happens, if after TCU, Belichick is explaining why, or somebody asks Belichick, why'd you go for it on 4th and 7 in the third quarter? And Jordan's sitting off to the side saying he's not going to answer that. I mean, how much influence is she going to have? And that is a definite concern. So, yeah, I mean, while we are talking about it, there is that underlying concern is what role is she going to play once this thing starts to get real here? And the potential for this just going sideways and being a total circus is really it's there.
Brett, so to sort of play off that, and you did mention it, right? If we get to football season, it's going to be on to Cincinnati. But I think that's the overarching thing that I'm having a hard time getting past is that if you're Bill Belichick, and I understand maybe this comes a little bit with the territory, how surprising is it that he sort of let it go on for this long when this is a guy who has been singularly focused on football seemingly his entire life?
Yeah, that's the strange thing. I mean, one of the funniest things I saw on social media after the CBS interview was that it looked like Belichick was in a hostage situation. I want to say maybe it was Barstool who said, hey, Bill, blink twice if you need help. I mean, he's the one who's being manipulated here. So I don't know, but here's the other thing, too, to think about, and this is coming from someone who wrote a book and who did promotional work on it. How many books are they selling because of this? And, is this a calculated strategy to call attention to a book that otherwise, okay, yeah, he won Super Bowls, he coached Brady, but now all of a sudden you've got this juicy stuff you want to read about. Maybe I'm going to go out and get this book after all. So I'm kind of torn on this. It's so bizarro because you're right. It is so opposite of everything we have known about Bill Belichick in his public life.
Well, here's the other thing. Do you think Bill Belichick needs the publicity? Aren't the rings enough? If this was somebody like Rex Ryan or another coach that didn't have the resume that Bill Belichick had, I'd be with you and say, hey, this is a ploy to sell books. But when you have the legacy that Bill Belichick has, that's where I'm at. It's why do you need this sideshow? I feel like he doesn't need it.
No, he doesn't. That's the thing. I mean, maybe this is just a delayed midlife crisis. I mean, maybe instead of having it in his 40s, he's having it in his 70s. I don't know. Really. I mean, right? Instead of the convertible, Mustang, he's going for the young girlfriend. I mean, he's young enough to be his granddaughter, for crying out loud.
Oh.
So, Brett.
And then the other thing too about it, the other weird part about this is all the other ancillary things that have come out about her. The whole real estate holdings that that she has acquired since they have started dating, and things about her past. And it's like it's like I say, it's TMZ. This is so outside of the realm of anything I've ever covered, and I've been doing it for a long time. I don't know how to explain it, and it's just bizarre. It's crazy.
Brett, and this is just speculation, but how is this playing off, or how do you think it comes off to a prospective recruit? Is it interesting? Is it off-putting? Does it matter? I wonder if you're someone who's thinking about maybe going to North Carolina, do you push this aside and say, I want to play for Bill Belichick, I want to be a part of this rebuild, or does this factor at all into your decision?
I don't think it does, because I think all this sideshow stuff is for the adults. I think the kids see those rings and say, this guy, Coach Tom Brady, he's going to get me to the league. And so I think that it really does not have that big of an effect on it. Now, maybe there are some, but I think that for them, it's still about football. Like I said, I have my doubts as to how this is going to translate onto the field. It was going to be a circus anyway. I mean, think about Deion Sanders' first year at Colorado and the ESPN extravaganza that became. This is going to be that on steroids. And so, there's going to be a lot of distractions. And again, he doesn't have Tom Brady playing quarterback for him. He doesn't. I mean, this roster barely won 6. Well, this roster is pretty much decimated, but I mean, this team only won 6 games last year under a Hall of Fame coach, and so he's got his work cut out for him. I don't know how long he's going to put up with this. He doesn't lose very well. And so if this goes sideways, and there's a very good possibility it is, this could be a one-and-done situation because his buyout is only $1 million.
Let me ask you about the ACC in general. Do you think the future is bright? Because here's the thing. I almost forgot that SMU was the team out of the ACC because obviously the conferences are so wonky now where we have different teams. But it feels like we haven't seen as much of the ACC in the top 5 teams, mostly because Clemson's kind of dropped down from, the power team that they used to be 5 years ago. Do you think the ACC can regain prominence in, the standings of college football?
I think it can. And the reason I think it can is because Clemson, I think Dabo has finally figured out. He's finally entered the 21st century. And he's using the portal now. He's brought in 3 transfers, but all of them are guys who are going to contribute this year. And he's got a Heisman quality quarterback pulling the trigger this year. So I think Clemson's going to be back. I think they're going to be better than they were last year. I can't imagine Florida State being 2-10 again. And so those are your brand names. Mario Cristobal is an elite recruiter. Now, he needs to hire somebody to do the X's and O's because his game management skills are really lacking, and that's held Miami back. But, I think their talent is good enough to compete. You mentioned SMU, and don't discount Jeff Brom at Louisville because I think he's building something special there. I really love what he has done, and I love what he is doing, and I think he's a really seriously underrated coach who understands quarterback talent, and bringing in the kid from Southern Cal, I think, is going to really be a good thing for them. So I think you've got the potential for some really good teams. I also think that if Fran Brown stays at Syracuse long enough, he might be able to make that something into a program that can be competitive nationally, because I think he's a superstar in the making. Now, I don't know that he's going to be there very long, because if he's successful there, an SEC team or a Big Ten team is going to scoop him up. But I think the potential is there, but it's all about players, and it's all about commitments, and it's all about finance, because if you just looked at the final 4 teams, the final 8 teams, the talent level just did not – the ACC's talent level did not match up to that. And so you've got to use your – if you've got limited NIL resources because the Big Ten and SEC are making more money, you've got to use your resources wisely. You've got to find ways of financing that. You've got to – you got to pass the hat around. You got to do something, because it's all about talent. And right now, I think the talent in the ACC is a little bit lacking.
He is the ACC beat reporter for Saturday Down South, has been covering the conference since 1981. It is Brett Friedlander, and we got some actual football in there. Brett, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yay. Hey, anytime, guys.
Much appreciated. Yeah, that's good info. Thank you. I think he's absolutely right, by the way. I did some just very, very early looking at ACC numbers yesterday, and you can get Clemson at plus money. I think Clemson is going to be really, really good this year, because they have Kate Klubnik coming back at quarterback, and their defensive line is going to be stout. I mean, you never really know this early because things can change, but I think he's spot on about the Tigers, and it's got to be strange for him, having covered the conference for so long, this whole Jordan and Bill thing.